Why is Russia at war against Ukraine? Why is Russia at war against Ukraine? This is what we're going to understand in the shortest minutes possible. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to LC Africa. Subscribe so we get into this and understand why is Russia at war against Ukraine. Now, understanding Ukraine is actually the country that you're seeing in red, and on Google Map, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to take you to Ukraine by Google so you understand the country that we're talking about, whose capital is actually Kiev or Kiev, whatever pronunciation that you manage to use to understand this great country called Ukraine. Ukraine is the second largest country of the in Europe, next to Russia, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get deeper. Let's get into this deeper and understand why is this war? Why do we have these attacks? Why do we have Russia? Why do we have Putin doing all these attacks against Russia, ladies and gentlemen? Now, once upon a time in the history, there was an arrangement called USSR. USSR in full is Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Now, the countries that were socialist in the Soviet, once upon a time had an arrangement that they worked together, they did everything together. These countries were over 15, actually around 20 of them. This USSR was an arrangement that ranged from the years of 1917 and actually got disbanded in 1991. You are on LC Africa. Subscribe so we get into this deeply. USSR got disbanded in 1991. Most of the countries got out of it around December 1991. That's where actually we also find Ukraine's independence. Ladies and gentlemen, the big boys that were in this USSR arrangement, I am going to actually list them all together, and you will understand what made up the USSR. Now, the big boy, the first big boy was Russia, and its capital called Moscow. Armenia, its capital called Yerevan. Kazakhstan, its capital called Nur Sultan. And Ukraine, its capital called Kiev. Ladies and gentlemen, Ukraine is now the country that is in trouble, that we are trying to talk about and analyze and pray that war ends and everything is at peace again. Tajikistan, whose capital is Dushanbe, and Uzbekistan, Tashkent is the capital. Belarus, if you look at the stories trending about the Russia versus Ukraine war, you will see Belarus being in every story. It is one of the neighboring countries to Ukraine, and actually its capital called Minsk. Latvia, the capital called Riga. Then Azerbaijan, the capital called Baku. Georgia, the capital called Tbilisi. Now, my pronunciations of some of these words, they are kind of quite complex to mention, but I am trying all my best so we can now, if you know how to pronounce some of them very rightly, you could just put in the comment section and let everybody know how they are pronounced very well. But the capital for Ukraine is just Kiev. Georgia, we are talking about Lithuania, the capital called Vilnius. Then Kyrgyzstan, yes, the capital called Bishkek. Estonia, Tallinn, Turkmenistan, Ashgabat. Moldova, the capital. Then East Germany, East Berlin, that is the capital. Belarusian Soviet Socialist Republic, the capital called Minsk again, and the Moldovan Soviet Socialist Republic, then the Turkmen Soviet Socialist Republic, Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic, Transnistria, capital Tiraspol. Then Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, capital Moscow. Ukrainian SSR, capital that is Kiev. Now over 20 countries were once in this arrangement, and by the time there was disbandment, the countries had run down to around 15 of them. And yes, we are looking at now in a special way this country called this country called Ukraine. Ukraine gains independence. The act of declaration of independence was ratified on 24th of August 1991. The arrangements for Russia, for Ukraine starting to think about its own independence out of the USSR arrangement starts on 24th of August 1991. Ladies and gentlemen, now the debates go on to as far as December, and ladies and gentlemen, a referendum gets held. On the act of declaration of independence. This one is held in Ukraine on 1st December in 1991. And an overwhelming majority of 92.3% of the voters approved a declaration of independence, and behold, Ukraine became an independent republic, an independent country from USSR arrangement on 1st December 1991. That is the country that we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Now, understanding this history gives us some kind of depth analysis and understanding of why Russia is now against Ukraine. As we pray for it, for peace to be still, for the war to end, why is Putin against President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine? Right from history, ladies and gentlemen, the big boys USSR gets shut and disbanded. But in actual sense, Russia was the biggest boy in the USSR, and it used to preside and control and control power in the USSR. Now this is like a man who had over 20 wives, controlling and reigning over them, dictating on when the other woman eats meat and when the other woman has to breathe, woman or wife. But then the 20 wives reach a time and said, no, we want independence and we don't want to stay in this house anymore. So these 20 wives stayed in one house called USSR, controlled by Russia as the big boss, as the man in control of these wives. So they set apart and say, we are leaving this house and we are setting up our own independence. We are setting up our own houses. This is how the likes of Ukraine set up independence and built their own houses in 1991 on the 1st. So the house called Ukraine now becomes independent from the man called Russia, and this heritage, this war, this hatred, these differences are the differences that have lived and made conflicts for many years to date. Peace agreements signed around 2014, 2015, and this peace agreement of never attack me and I will never attack you, signed in 2015, Putin and the president then of Ukraine, is what we are seeing as a breached arrangement this 2022, as Putin arranges hostilities and all sorts of weaponry to attack this beautiful Ukraine country, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there was a president around 2014 who is looked at or who was looked at as loyal to Russia. But the current president, Vladimir Zelensky, I just love the name, has not at any point been a puppet of Russia. And Russia looks at this president as provocative, as very undermining to the big boy, to the once big husband of the USSR called Russia. And somewhat some of the sources suggest that Russia is looking at tearing Ukraine apart and getting a president who is friendly and cooperative to Russia. Now, there's another actually point of view that brings in the US, America. When these over 20 wives got independence out of the USSR arrangement that I am talking about, they got annexed somehow, or in collaboration or in friendship with another great husband called United States of America. Now the US starts befriending Ukraine and says, oh, come on, we will defend you against any attacks of your former husband called Russia. New friend called United States of America, yes, tells with all our trust and mightiness and says, I will defend you, Ukraine, against any attacks of your former husband called Russia. Now, Russia is another country, again, that is never at peace with the United States of America. And all the arrangements and friends of US and NATO. But the husband, this other friend of ours that should be saving us, the United States of America, currently speaks in a way that I am praying for you. I am praying for you. Everything will be well. Now, this is one of the reasons that why we need to pray for Ukraine, because where the help should be coming from, those that should be helping Ukraine fight this rival, this former husband, they're kind of playing games and kind of throwing the burdens to the rest of the world, throwing the burdens to prayer. But President Joe Biden has been releasing statements, and I want to look at one of the statements that President Joe Biden recently put out. This statement could maybe tell us something that is going on, to see whether there is actually any advance to help out our friends and Ukraine. In Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, pray for this great country. Pray that peace reigns. This is LC Africa, and therefore it is very important that you subscribe, so we keep you updated, we keep you in the know of what is going on around the world. But majorly, President Joe Biden continues to assure the world that there will be peace, that the forces will soon get into Russia, into Ukraine, to make sure that peace reigns. Ladies and gentlemen, we pray that there is peace. Wherever you are, make sure you pray for the mighty Ukraine, pray for President Zelensky, pray for everyone that is in Ukraine. War is something that is worse, and peace should always reign. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this great video. We will be bringing you President Joe Biden's statement in another video that shall come right after this one. Thank you very much for watching. Wagwan LC Africa, subscribe. Bye bye.